I can't comprehend this. I'm only a normal farmer. The Governor-General, or the Governor at the time, was Michael Jeffries. Went on to be the Governor-General, has now handed the baton to the lady who slam dunked us all with Brigalow out of Queensland. Brigalow's in some of these documents that we put together for a few of yous. It just says government corporations sell out Australia. Out here there's an article on Brigalow. I'll give it to some specific people, but copy them and give the material out, or else get a fund in One Nation and do it and get this out. You've got a couple of DVDs there and that. They're not put together lightly, they're put together concisely. They're not given to you to gather dust on the wherever you want to put it. If you're going to do that, don't take them. Rule of law, common law and jurisdiction. Common law, the body of law derived from judicial decisions rather than from statute or constitutions. Thus it was the principle of the case, not the words which went into the common law. Rule of law, substantive legal principle, the doctrine that every person is subject to the ordinary law within the jurisdiction. Does that include the preacher? Yes. Does that include the politician? Yes. Does that include the judge? Yes. Well, excuse the expression, what the hell's the church doing over in that other jurisprudence? Because it's all altered now, your hourglass got turned up. Can you turn it back up the other way? Because you've caught them fair amidships with a bill. They haven't got it an act yet. Jurisdiction. A political or judicial subdivision within such an area. Appellant jurisdiction. The power of a court to review and revive the lower court's decision. Now remember, in the Supreme Court in West Australia, Crown's gone. Do they have jurisdiction? Are they the offender? Because you're the jury. And how can the offender hear that? No, later we'll come up to questions and answers. How can the offender hear the matter? You know, you've caught the bank robber coming out of the bank and he says, oh, I'll take the balaclava off. Actually, I'm the judge. I'll hear that matter. That's where it's at. Next one, mate. Now, under the Public Interest Disclosure Act, which is the best act you've got in West Australia, Section 5 says it's got to be a public interest disclosure matter. Is this a public interest matter? Well, it fits into this. Section 12, obligations under this Act of certain persons limited. Section 13, immunity for appropriate disclosure of public interest information. 4, reprisal for an offence. Now, reprisal is interesting because the Supreme Court's given me a cost bill for $26,000 because I took them on. But under that reprisal, it says there's a fine of $22,000 for anyone who issues a writ, civil or criminal, against the person exposing or disclosing a public interest matter. So I just said, well, that's the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions. They were on the writ. Jim McGinney was on the writ. That's pretty simple. I'm still a farmer. That's $44,000. So I just simply said, deduct your 26 from 44 and send me the balance. And they wrote back and said, you know, rack off. Not nice. Remedies for acts of victimisation. Civil action or criminal action. Which one of those do you want? You want a civil or criminal? You're the jury. You're the jury. You're the one who's going to say you have committed a criminal act within the Commonwealth of Australia. It's your right to do that. If you go into civil, you'll get us a cost door and close the door on the way out. If you go into criminal, when the guys served them at the Supreme Court of West Australia, the lady chased them across the Supreme Court gardens trying to give it back. Saying, I don't want it. You've got it, sweetheart. Give it to the judge who's been charged. Now, when they heard that matter the other day, and Wayne Glews stood up and said, where did the affidavit of Mr Shaw go to? Justice Hasluck admitted he never saw the affidavit. Now, why don't they want to see the affidavit? Because at section whatever of the affidavit, which was filed and served with Wayne Glews' material, section 20 states who's been charged in the Melbourne Magistrates Court. I'll read the names. John Howard, Kim Beazley, Michael Jeffrey, Damien Bugg, Philip Ruddock, Sterling, Atkinson, Shine, Holes, Corbell, Cones, all of them Attorney Generals. The list goes on. Debus, McGuinty, Braddock, Wayne Martin, Christine Wheeler, Christopher Steichler, Chris Pullen, John McKechnie, Michael Buss, Corny Rayner, with respect to her, she was alive at the time, Robert Koch, your DPP, Darren Renton, Robert Mitchell, State Solicitor, John Bowler, Kalgoorlie, charged, went on to be your independent. He didn't tell your electorate he was charged, still pending. Maley, the Grand Master of Freemasonry, and Carmel Randazzo. That was on one day. 2 weeks later, the rest. Damien Bugg, Ian Gray, Chief Magistrate of the Magistrates Court of Victoria, because what he said in the court on the week before, or but this other one, is, you will not be relying on the Constitution in my court. He got charged the next week. Paul Coughlin, at the time he was the Director of Public Prosecutions in Victoria. When he's charged, he's now made a Supreme Court judge. Hey, this is what's looking after your children. Because if you don't attend to it, they will. Now we come to the High Court boys. Justice Creenan, Justice Gleeson, Justice Gummin, Justice Hayne, Justice Hayden. The other two were charged before, Kirby and Callanan. All 7 slam dunk. That's why Justice, whatever his name, Hasluck, I don't know where the affidavit went. Well, do you think this affidavit's going to get shredded in the Supreme Court of Western Australia? Why? Because it's showing you that they're all charged. Still pending criminal process in Victoria. Hallelujah? Because we're taking the fight right to their door. Rob Holes, Julia.Gillard. Hello? She was charged before she became the elected whatever. And I attended an RSL meeting where she was speaking in Werribee, chaired by the Mayor of Werribee, Shane Burke. And when it got to my time to ask the question, I said, I'm Brian Shaw, I'm the man who charged you for concealing treason. How long are you going to conceal that offence from the electorate?
What'd she say?
She said, Brian, hello, we're on first name basis. I did receive some correspondence from you. No, she got a defendant's charge. She charged. There's no correspondence. It's a criminal charge. But I will state that, in that correspondence I would not agree with you. Well, of course you won't. She's the defendant in a jury trial. But I will state the only way that you can change the Constitution is by referendum, and we haven't had any of them lately. You got her sitting as the Deputy Prime Minister on a charge of concealing treason. That's a breach of Section 44 of the Commonwealth Constitution, and it means she can't sit while this is pending. And that's what your church is doing to you. They're concealing the fraud that is in this. Can the church get a blessing? And that's why it's dead as a doornail. And that's why the topic tonight is the unique church in the Commonwealth of Australia. The unique church means ministers of the state. The problem is, what is the status quo of the state of Western Australia? You don't legally exist if you're not in the Commonwealth. And you can only be in the Commonwealth if you've got the Crown there. And you took the Crown out without it coming out of the Commonwealth. Are you getting the drift? So I'm driving this tractor round and around thinking, oh, I'm either stupid or I'm whatever. And you've got to stop the tractor and go and slap your face a bit. But am I right or wrong here? Because you're the jury. You're the jury. You are the jury. Why? Because you're the elector. They work for you. Not the other way around. There are a couple of preachers there I charged too at Werribee just to show them I was fair dinkum. That was